It's inside coverage on Yahoo. This guy is like a burgeoning media star. He's like a veteran already on the NFL, on CBS. He's a three-time Pro Bowler. And I did not know this, Kyle Long, until this morning. And Wikipedia has never been wrong. You're number 74 on the Bears' top 100 of all time. We're talking about like one of the original charter franchises. I had no idea. Dude, that is well-deserved and well-earned. How the heck are you?
It's something that I don't take lightly, and obviously when you walk the halls of Hallis Hall, the busts on the wall, the names on the wall, it's humbling. So to be mentioned even in the same conversation with some of these guys it's the utmost honor, and I take a tremendous amount of pride in that.
I want to talk about mental health here, and I promise we're going to do that. It's one of the reasons you're on. I think this is the perfect time here in the offseason, especially as the rookies, the guys that just got drafted and are starting their journey this weekend and next weekend. I think it's a perfect time to have that conversation. But if we could, because you mentioned Hallis Hall, let's tap the base there. There's a weird thing going, I think, with Bears fans right now. You go from like 7, 8 years of being negative, having no faith in anyone in that building in Lake Forest, to now all of a sudden you win. Ben Johnson's that guy. Caleb's that guy. And instead of going, wait a minute, we're taking Dillon in the first round and we're taking another tight end. How many tight ends do we need? They're kind of putting their hands up going, okay, I trust you. Do you trust them?
I do trust Ben Johnson, and I do trust Caleb Williams and their relationship. And as you and I know, it's an arms race in the National Football League. And if you don't have a guy that can put points up every week, regardless of scheme you're playing against, regardless of personnel you're playing against, you're going to have a fighting chance. Now, couple that with DA on the defensive side of the ball. They've started to marry offense and defense pretty well. And you can see, as you and I both know, the most meaningful moments of the game are the final 120 seconds of regulation. And that's where the Bears have had success. And that was where they had to prove it to us fans and former players. And they did that. So now we get to sit back, go like this, and just have fun and watch Ben Johnson terrorize the National Football League and just shake everybody's hand violently.
It's a strange new world. And you mentioned the final 120 seconds. What Caleb did last year, you came down the stretch to just expect it. Didn't mean you were any less wowed by it, but you came to expect it. But there's also this, and I know you know this, there's like a regression to the mean. Like if you have all this, I hate the word luck, but if everything goes your way one year in one score games, the odds dictate, and the Chiefs saw it last year as well, that they generally swing the other way the next year. Can they keep living on that edge where it's, don't worry, Caleb's going to find a way to pull it out?
It really reminds me of, and obviously I tracked the two rookie quarterbacks. There was a multitude of rookie quarterbacks in Caleb's first year, but it was Caleb and Jaden that I had my eyes on closest because obviously I'm partial to the Chicago Bears. They experienced a lot of late game heroics, time after time. Jaden Daniels finding a way to get it done, all that stuff, folk hero type stuff. Well, they didn't get the shoe to drop the way that it did the previous year, and they lost all those games this past year. I don't think that this Caleb Williams, Chicago Bears, Ben Johnson situation is the same, but I could totally see them having less regular season wins and being a better football team. And you and I both know that in the National Football League, it's about what version of the team you are when the dance starts and when the dance ends. You got to just get into the dance, and that's what they're going to have to do.
Yeah, and if they are a better team but with a worse record, you're looking at a division where last year, last place was 9-8. The Lions and the Vikings were both 9-8. So, it's a ridiculously stacked division. Who knows where the other teams are going to fall? Kyler's the new quarterback in Minnesota. But, yeah.
That's going to be so exciting, by the way.
Isn't it? What do you think is going to happen?
I think he's going to wear out that Justin Jefferson button on his PlayStation controller. and if he doesn't, they should unplug it and hand it to the next guy. Because I'll tell you what, if I was playing quarterback, I'm just finding Jettis. Okay, I'm going to find Jettis. So I'm going to trust KOC.
But if you wear it out, then he just goes and plays Call of Duty if you take it from him. You know,
you got to just reprogram the controller, man. That's all. Just line him up somewhere else.
I mentioned the Chiefs there. It hit me while going down the Google hole this morning. I totally forgot 2021. All due respect, you came out of retirement.
It was a year to forget.
It was different though. I mean, the Chiefs made it to the AFC Championship game. They lost to the Bengals, and I think people do lose sight of the fact that you were there for that. You came out of retirement after a year off. You never got on the field in a game, but you did practice with the Chiefs coming back from an injury.
Yes.
So you saw Patrick Mahomes up close. There has always been this Caleb Mahomes fascination. Everyone wants to say he's the next Patrick. No one's the next Patrick. Patrick Mahomes is one of one. But having seen both up close, do you see similarities? Can we actually find connective tissue between these two?
I think the thing that separates Patrick from mostly everybody else in the universe is his skill set in a multitude of different sports. And if you watch him swing a golf club, if you watch him pick up a baseball bat, if you watch him take infield, it's like they just don't make them like Patrick Mahomes anymore. Now I'm going to talk about Caleb for a second. Caleb's a guy that reminds me that time is just an illusion. There's no such thing as tomorrow. There's no such thing as yesterday. Your confidence in the very moment that you're living in dictates where you'll be 60 years from now. Nobody understands that more than Caleb. Nobody plays fearless like Caleb Williams. He throws the ball and he makes you go, oh my God, yes! And that's what makes him so much fun to watch. And there's a lot of that in Patrick's game, too. And the off-angle throws, going left, throwing right, being able to pirouette. It reminds me of what Russell did early in his career. That was kind of like the trademark. And Caleb grew up watching great quarterbacks who played the game, the new version of the game. So we're just seeing one of, I think, many guys to come out in this mold of kind of like jazz musicians. They're out there just playing their music, and it goes up, it goes down. It's beautiful to listen to. Grab a cocktail and enjoy. We've got great young quarterbacks. Caleb Williams' arm talent and Patrick Mahomes' arm talent, those are the things that I would say are like in lockstep. Their ability to just cocky throws from anywhere. Bo Jackson off the center field wall, no crow hop, laser to home plate type throws.
It's funny you mentioned
that's what you get from Pat. That's what you get from Caleb.
So you mentioned baseball there. Obviously, Pat has a baseball background. His dad's a big league pitcher. A lot of people forget. I'll remind them, you were a heck of a high school pitcher. You were drafted by the White Sox in the 23rd round. You went to Florida State. You were going to play baseball. You ended up here playing football, and obviously there's another great story about flipping a coin and choosing football over baseball.
Yes.
I don't know if we have time for that today.
That's a little inside baseball there.
There you go. Do you think Caleb could be, because you said Patrick's great at all these sports, could Caleb pitch?
I'd be interested to see, because that you've seen a lot of these because the throwing in football is so much different than throwing in baseball.
Yeah.
And the ball is different, and anatomically, like our levers are operating differently. In football, you're more like making a C with your hand. You know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Baseball, I'm here. I could be here. Like, there's a multitude of ways to throw. You've seen these quarterbacks sail the ball on the mound for first pitches. So I don't want to put my money on any of them unless I knew that they were actually baseball players.
You saw Malik Willis, right?
That was rough, but I've seen rougher. I mean, he had a good wind-up. He looked the part.
He just went over there.
That happens. You got to hit the mascot. Nuke LaLoosh.
You also just have to remember that it doesn't matter if you're zipping it in 85 miles an hour. Just get it there.
Just get it there.
Just get it there.
Yep. Just get it there and shake their hand, wave to the crowd.
Yes.
Enjoy the moment, because it's over in a blink. And and you're gonna get in that Uber on the way home, and you're gonna say, "Man, I wish that throw was better." Either way, so just enjoy the day.
And having done it once, I was very fortunate to do it. You got to warm up. Like, go play catch with somebody. Like, grab a glove, just throw. Like, even if it means like earlier in the afternoon, like go grab a neighbor and go throw the ball around a little bit, just so you remember the motion, as silly as that sounds, before you go back out there.
Yes.
So we were talking off the air real quick. Want to hit this about Shedeur, right? So you have a little insight here. Obviously, an Oregon football fan. You saw Dillon Gabriel play. You've seen plenty of Shedeur Sanders. You've played against, if memory serves, Deshaun Watson. Did you at one point?
Yeah, I believe so.
Okay.
And I remember we got Trubisky over Watson in that draft class.
Right.
That was a whole thing. Yeah.
That's a whole different show.
I love Trubisky, by the way. Trubisky's my guy, and I'm really happy for him. He's with Dave's in Nashville. Shout out to the Trubiskys.
Mitch Trubisky, Northeast Ohio's own. So the Trubisky family, no doubt.
All the good ones are from Ohio.
Exactly. Drew Aller on his way to Pittsburgh now, third-round pick. They're watching the Browns quarterback competition, which is what it is. They've had 3 days of a voluntary veteran minicamp. As we sit here recording this today, rookie minicamp is about to get going, so none of the above will be there. Talon Green, the 6th-round pick from Arkansas, will be there. He's interesting. How do you see this thing playing out?
Look, I mean, if you asked me this question 3 months ago, I would say it's going to be a massive offseason for both of these second-year quarterbacks in terms of getting that commanding presence, that leadership role. It's a tough rope to walk on as a young player, being asked to be a leader. And thank God when I got into the National Football League, I was surrounded in the offensive line room by 12-year veterans, 9-year veterans, 14-year veterans. Not a lot was asked of me in leadership, just production. I think Shedeur and Dillon Gabriel, if it comes down to those guys and not Deshaun, are going to have a lot to prove in terms of the mature, unbothered leader. And, you know, like water rolling off a duck's back. I remember my dad always saying that, and I like that phrase. That's what you got to be as a quarterback in the National Football League. It's just like being a pitcher in the major leagues. You're going to give up 450-foot home runs. Okay, that happens. Play the next play. Show me who can do that, and I'm sure that's what they're looking for in Cleveland. Who can be the guy that we can set our watch to? We're not looking for a game-breaker quarterback. We're looking for somebody who's above average and consistent. Now, the other side of the coin, you know where I'm going with this Deshaun Watson character. I've seen him play football. Okay, he can be unbelievable if his body's right, which we haven't seen in a very long time. I'm going to be glued to that television. I'm going to be tuned in to what Andrew Siciliano has to say every week about the battle, because as a football fan, we want to see good football. And while there have been signs of positive life in the quarterback room, in that rookie quarterback room last year, if Deshaun Watson is healthy and Deshaun Watson is checked in mentally, it could be a really interesting fall.
The problem is that when Deshaun Watson was last on the field back in 2024, he wasn't very good. Now,
yes,
nothing on that offense clicked, but they were coming off a playoff season. Joe Flacco got him there at the end. When Deshaun got hurt in 2023, he was 7-3. He was fantastic week 10 at a comeback win on the road in Baltimore. He was 14-14 in the second half, and you're like, all right, there's the guy. Like, finally, there's the guy. But then he came out of that game with a high ankle sprain and a broken shoulder, and they shut him down. He's never been the same since. So that was nearly 3 years ago.
Andrew, if I'm in that room, if I'm in that offensive line room, I got to see it one time.
Right.
I got to see it. I don't want to watch. I don't want to see the guy with the baseball cap on, dude. Like, I want to see the guy that Dabo Swinney described as the Michael Jordan of college football that we saw early on in the National Football League have wild success and a lot of plays that are chaotic and fun, all the stylistic things that we were just talking about with Caleb. You know, I'd love to see good quarterback play in Cleveland, whoever the hell it is.
Because 2 years ago, they had the number 1 defense in football. Granted, Jim Schwartz. Last year, the number 4 total defense. Some of the other metrics, middle of the pack, but number 4 total defense. So the defense is there. Miles is there. You just got to score points. They scored 19 points a game last year. They probably win that division, as ridiculous as that sounds. But they couldn't. They couldn't score anything. They were as bad at offense as there was in the National Football League, historically bad at times. So just get to average. That's all anybody wants.
Where else can we line up Schlesinger? Where else can we line him up? Running back? Can we put him out there at tight end? That guy's ridiculous. A dog, okay?
And tip of the cap to your brother, by the way, on his pod. Your brother, Chris, had Carson on this week. That's the most I've seen Carson open up. He's a great guy and a great football player, certainly, and a great leader. He just doesn't always give the most on camera. He's kind of reserved, short answers, still finding his way in the NFL. It's also just not him, but great back and forth there with your brother.
It's a tremendous compliment to Chris, because, as you know, he's been working at this for a long time.
No, he's really good at it.
This is not the easiest line of work, talking to athletes. Sometimes it can be, and it's great, and sometimes it's tough. And to hear that him and Carson had a great back and forth makes me really happy for both guys.
Well, let's talk about talking about oneself and talking about oneself as an athlete here. You've been very open with your mental health struggles over the years, and you're here on behalf of Johnson & Johnson right now in something called Generation Fine,
yep.
which the word fine really stands out to me, because I know over the years, talking to my significant other, when you ask, how are you? And they say, fine. Fine means like, don't ask, leave me alone. Or sometimes fine means you should ask, because I'm not going to be open, I'm building up a wall, but I'm not right. Explain to me what Generation Fine means and how it affects your day-to-day.
Andrew, it's it's something that I've dealt with for a long time. It's every day different situation, but I'm partnering with Johnson & Johnson on the Generation Fine movement. It's something that really hits home to me, because obviously I was one of the lucky ones that grew up in the National Football League and got to see this thing. I got to see how the hot dog was made, and it's not all pretty sometimes. And, that's just the life of being in the National Football League. Obviously, it comes with tremendous things, but it's also the grind, the rigors, the pressures to say, I'm fine when, the sky is seemingly falling around you. I know I'm not the only one too, Andrew. There's a ton of guys. And I know, you and I haven't talked about this, but I can promise you've had conversations with guys, off the record, and you guys can share in your, whether it's anxieties or, anything. It's something that we all have in common to different levels. I describe it as turbulence. It's like you're on a plane. The plane is never completely without turbulence. Okay. There's like massive turbulence where you're gripping your armrests. And then there's the light bumpy one where it's like, oh, I got to hold my coffee cup. And that's kind of how it can be sometimes for people dealing with depression. And I think that it's time for us to destigmatize these conversations, particularly in males. And I know it's prevalent in the locker rooms, because that's where I've been. But in speaking with dozens of guys, young men going through different walks of life, we're all experiencing a lot of the same types of things. So Generation Fine is a fantastic thing, and I am thrilled to be partnering with Johnson & Johnson on it.
You kind of went on a tweet storm in a good way, not in a bad way, not like a bad Antonio Brown way, but like in a, hey, I wish I knew then what I know now, as we record this on Thursday morning. And you showed a picture of yourself at Bears camp as a rookie, and you said, like, hey, here are the lessons that I have learned throughout my journey that I wish I could have handed over to me as a rookie. How much of that was cathartic? How much of it was like throwing it out there for the next generation and paying it forward?
Well, every year at this time feels like you get to see the new batch of offensive linemen, the new batch of NFL players. And it reminds you of a time when you were 21 and you had a career's worth of football ahead of you. And it's an exciting time. But now looking back, what ways can I help other people? And if it's somebody that's going into my situation and there's, 32 new guards, 64 new guards in the National Football League, and they all need a little bit of guidance, and maybe they're not going to all get it from guys in their room. This is kind of a simple little template here. And these are all nuggets to me that meant a lot to me, and I got them from different people. You can see Matt Forte mentioned there, and excuse my space bar, it wasn't working on the iPhone this morning, okay. But these are things that are important, man. And yes, getting the guy blocked is important. And yes, knowing when they're going to run cross dog because the linebackers are on different level is important. And yes, you got to be aware of where Troy Polamalu is, and you're going to count him in the count when he's up there in the will spot. But this stuff's really important too. And I would argue that it's more important because, mom, dad, and God put you here and they made you big and strong and you're going to play football all right. This is the stuff that people don't prepare you for. This is the stuff that people aren't talking about. And I'm passionate about it. And if I can help one guy, great. Awesome. And that's why I'm here.
And what's amazing is that you entered the league with a brother in the league and with a dad with a gold jacket. So, like, you had the insight. Yeah, there were still all these things that you didn't figure out until you went through it yourself.
Well, those guys are pass rushers, and I'm a pass protector. And my life is a little bit different. The way that we view success and failure in the offensive line room can lead you to being a high-stress, maybe depressive guy. And I remember early in my career, really saying, man, I wish my dad had told me to play defense, because they seem to be having a lot of fun, and me and my guys are vacuum sealed in this room.
What, last thing here, what percentage, because you're right, I have talked to plenty of guys on and off the record about the struggle, and it's in all sides of this business, not just you guys on the field, not trying in any way to walk in your shoes, but the pressure everywhere. The pressure for everyone in this business. That's why I always laugh, roll my eyes, honestly, at talk show topics. Who's got the most pressure today? Guys, everybody's got pressure. Everybody at every level.
We're
People
going
could be out of jobs
coast to coast in 3,
tomorrow.
2, 1.
Yeah.
Andrew.
You know how that goes, right? Everybody's got pressure. But what percentage of your teammates over the years, guys in locker rooms, do you think deal with the same anxiety and mental health challenges that you did?
I would say it's definitely a spectrum, but I would also be willing to say 100% of the guys.
There are a lot of shades of gray.
50 of them, 50 plus, right?
Yes.
Well, I would say this, and don't sue us. Who wrote that book? I would say it's a spectrum. And like the turbulence analogy, there's levels to this. And having been a guy who's made it through a few of the levels of that building, you can recognize some of the things in others, and you can only hope to reach a hand out. And that's really my message to people. If you feel like something's too big for you to handle on your own, I would definitely urge you to reach out to somebody. Put a hand out there. You know what else works? Big hugs. I love a good hug.
Oh my
Andrew.
gosh, you're right.
There's nothing like a good hug. Somebody was asking me what I do sometimes when I feel down. And I'm like, babe, can I just give you a monster hug right now? I need one. And there's some guys in those locker rooms who need a hug, because look, we get beat a lot day to day. Practice, games, we get embarrassed, okay? You get, kind of emasculated at times in practice, and it can be frustrating, and it's demoralizing. And then people think that that's all we are. We go home, we have lives, we have families, we have bills, we have, just like yourself, Andrew, there's things that you have to handle outside of work. You think work's stressful, then you get home and you're like, oh, we got to get that contractor over here the things stack up. Reach out. Talk to somebody. Tell somebody how you're feeling, okay? Because I promise you, you're not alone. And if you don't have somebody, reach out to me. There's a ton of places you can reach out to me, and I'll try my best to get back to you.
That's awesome, man. It's a great message. Generation Fine, you're here on behalf of Johnson & Johnson. Just the idea that you kind of long are willing to speak about this publicly. If it reaches one person or 1,000 people, or hopefully even more than that, that's a victory, because you don't have to be afraid to talk about it. Like, you can be a tough guy on the field, you can be a tough guy wherever you want to be a tough guy, but you're a human being. And I think hopefully we are getting to a space now where that is the human side of it as accepted as everything. Don't live in social media. Don't try to build yourself up, trying to find a false standard to meet. Just like, be a human, be where your feet are. Look people in the eye, man. I think it's great you're doing this. Thanks for coming on, man. Truly, truly
Thank you, Andrew.